Pixiepia. This week is summerween, so I'm going to take you through all of my summerween reading plans and things of that nature. So I'm on vacation right now. I went away for the 4th, which was yesterday. I don't love that this readathon starts on a Friday. It kind of like messes with my mind a little bit, but nevertheless we are here. I'm a little bit sunburned, so don't worry about it. If I take off my makeup and you see a bright red tomato face, don't worry about it. I'm fine. I was a little bit struggle city this morning, but it's all right. I made a TBR. It's in my summer TBR video, and I am now kind of throwing away the TBR. I'm now kind of ditching the TBR, and I'm ready to just like read a bunch of spooky fun things. And I don't really have any plan of what I'm gonna do. Am I gonna fulfill the challenges? No, not necessarily. I just want to read some spooky shit. I maybe want to watch Hocus Pocus. Like, I just want to get in the vibes. I'm so feeling fall. Like, I told you I got a sunburn. Like, I don't like summer that much. I love the vibes, but the vibes of fall are just immaculate. I just want them to be here so bad. I just want it to be fall. Even though I'm on a little bit of a beach vacation, we are gonna pretend that it's fall. The first book that I'm gonna start with, because there's no planned, no TBR in this video, is The Haunting of Alejandra by V. Castro. I saw this at my library the other day, and just found my library receipt and it is long. I found this at my library the other day and I was really excited about it because this is like a shorter horror book that I don't remember what I've exactly heard about it or what the plot is. A woman haunted by Mexican folk demon La Llorona. I forget what the double L sound makes. In this ravishing and provocative literary horror novel about motherhood, family legacy, and self-discovery. So that like tagline really got me because I love literary horror as a genre. Like my favorite like I'm a child. My favorite types of horror are literary and like psychological. So this is definitely like checking that box, and it's like haunted by a demon, which I think is really interesting. I'm just excited that this is not a like gothic horror. I've been seeing gothic horror like literally everywhere. Maybe it's just like what's available at my library right now because I'm always at my library and I always see what's there. But I just hate gothic horror. I hate gothic literature in general. So I'm just excited that I'm gonna not have to read that. So I'm going to pick this up today and see how far I can get into it. It's like I said, it's like less than 300 pages, so not sure how fast it's gonna read though, but we shall see. So I'm gonna start this up, and you can see my cat over there. Doing much for today because I got really sunburned and we're not doing anything because it's raining. I'm gonna just hang out in my house and read this book, and that's gonna be the vibes. But before I go, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. I always say this at the end of the videos, but make sure to do it right now because you should do it right now. As you may notice, I'm sunburned, like I mentioned, but I'm not wearing any makeup because my sunburn is kind of crazy right now. I didn't film yesterday because my sunburn was so bad that my face was so puffy and it was just like disgusting to look at. And I was like, I can't put this on the internet forever. Like I can't do that. So it is day 3 of summerween and I have thank you. And I have finished my first book of the readathon. I finished it this morning. This is The Haunting of Alejandra. I told you guys I was reading this, so it's not a surprise. My final review of this book is I really liked the kind of curse aspect of the story. This is a familial generational story. We are not only following Alejandra as the title would suggest, but we're also following her mother, her mother's mother, like everyone in her family as a woman, because they've all experienced this same curse from the, what is it? Llorona, maybe? La Llorona? This trauma that has been carried forth through all the women in this family through every generation. And so we get to hear tidbits of their stories as well as Alejandra's, who's like the main person that we're following and who's like actively trying to sort out what's going on. She's going to a therapist, she's dealing with a troubled marriage, she has 3 kids, she's struggling. She had a difficult upbringing because she was raised in a really Catholic Christian household, and and her adoptive parents were very restrictive, and then she didn't get to know her mother until later in life. It's very interesting. I really like the familial aspects of this, and also just like the curse. I love curses in books. I don't know what to say about that. I just love curses. And I did like the writing of this book. I think that it was written super beautifully. Like it kept coming back to images around flowers and nature, and also just kind of like the body horror aspects were also really strong. And the things that I didn't like about this book were large parts of this book are written in italics, which are sometimes told from like the demon, is it a demon? Yeah, from the folk demon's perspective. I have a really hard time reading long blocks of text in italics. I don't know if it's just my brain or like what's wrong with me, but like it's really hard for me to do that. So that I found troubling. So I just kind of blinked out. And then there was something about this book. The only part that I didn't really vibe with about this book were the horror elements. It's so strange, like my reading experience with this book, because like I felt like I was really absorbing everything, and like I'm a fast reader in general, but like, and I was really taking in like the prose and like the literary aspects of like what these characters were going through, and like really understanding their emotions and their intentions and everything like that. And then when it got to these horror aspects, my eyes just like glazed over. And then I like blinked and we were in like a horrific scene, and I was like, how did we get here? Like, what's going on? And I think it does play around with like reality because of this like demon figure just kind of appearing in these women's lives, and there not really being an explanation or a reason or a cause. It often happens around births, but it's not necessarily happening all the time when they're giving birth. So I don't know, I just didn't love the horror elements. I didn't entirely buy them, and I just wasn't sold on them. So I did really enjoy this book. I like the writing. I'm definitely gonna keep an eye out for more of V. Castro's work because I think that I would like it. But yeah, that's my review of this book. So this I think is going to count as my horror book for the readathon. I am keeping in mind the challenges, don't you worry. The next book that I think I'm gonna read, I'm gonna pull out my handy dandy iPad. Isn't she so cute? Distract from my tomato face. My face is peeling right now too. It's really not a good time. But the next book that I think I'm going to read is My Heart is a Chainsaw. I don't know, I don't even remember what this is about. I think it has something to do with like horror movies and like slashers, but it has been on my radar for a while, and I want to start reading Stephen Graham Jones because I've heard so many good things about his work. And this is a kind of longer book, so we'll see how I get going with reading. I have many more days of this readathon. This is going to count for my book with 5 words in the title. My Heart is a Chainsaw. Chainsaw is 1 word. I was like, syllables? Oh, I found the audiobook, guys. I found the audiobook. I'm going to the lake today. What did we do yesterday? We really didn't do much yesterday. That's why there's like no footage of yesterday, besides the fact that my face was a mess. But we're gonna go to the lake today, so we're gonna do some fun B-roll there. My parents are kayaking. I don't like kayaking. I don't like being in boats or in water in general. But I'm gonna sit by the lake and read this book. Excited because I think this is going to be a different type of horror vibe. I'm excited. I'm really like happy to be reading some horror because I really haven't read it in a while, and it is one of my favorite genres. So I feel like my face looks more red than it did this morning, but that's just life, I guess. Guys, I wanted to update you on my progress reading My Heart is a Chainsaw. That's not this book. So I read 210 pages of My Heart is a Chainsaw. I read just over half of this book today, and I want to let you know my thoughts on it because this is a fun little book. This is a fun little book, dark and twisted, and I really like it. We are following our main character Jade, or Jennifer, or JD, or whatever she's choosing to go by at the current moment. She is a teenager, which this is not why I do not get it twisted. She is a teenager and she loves slasher films. they are her favorite thing in the world. And I knew this. And she starts discovering some spooky, creepy things going on in her town. Like some bodies popping up and some mysterious things happening. And she's like, holy shit, I'm like literally in a slasher film. Like that's what's going on right now. So she's like, that's the final girl. And she's trying to piece together the killer. And she's like, that body's popping up there. That body's popping up there. And she's just like trying to solve the puzzle. And no one freaking believes her. Everyone's like, you're fucked up. Like they're like, no, you're disturbed. And she's like, no sister, like I know my shit and you're all crazy because you're not seeing the signs, because I see the signs because I'm obsessed with slasher films. And I love it. I love her narration. I think she's so like fun and, well, not fun, maybe fun's the word. She's so like witty and just dry in her sense of humor. There is like a lot of like triggering content. She tries to like to unalive herself a couple of times, and that's mentioned quite a few times. So there's that, but she just is in like such a horrible situation with like a horrible dad, and like her mom's not really in the picture, and like she just like goes through it, and the way she like handles it and the way she like conducts herself is like very interesting to me. And the way she copes is through slasher films and like watching slasher movies. I keep saying films as if they're high cinema. They are kind of, I don't know. I'm no stranger to a slasher film. They're really fun and I do enjoy them from time to time. So I am enjoying the little, not the little references. This is reference heavy. This is a reference heavy book. If you don't know anything about slashers, you will get a crash course in slashers by reading this book. And if you don't want that, maybe don't read this book. There's not only like the chapters where she's like constantly referencing like, oh, he's the Billy, he's the, she's the Carrie, she's the da 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 da. She's doing that like in her daily life, in her daily monologue. But then there's these other chapters where she's writing these assignments for her history class that she just graduated, and it's like her assignments over the last 4 years to her history professor, which have all been about slashers of history, that she's been able to do for credit somehow, I don't know. And those are like literal like deep dives into different slasher tropes and just a crash course in slashers. They're called Slasher 101. That's what those sections are called. So yeah, if you don't like slashers, don't read this book. But I'm finding it really enjoyable. It's not super like gory. It's definitely really dark, but I'm interested to see what happens genuinely. Like I don't know. There's a lot of talk about like the kind of gentrification of this place that she's living in. I want to say Idaho, and these like big wigs, these big wigs, these big wigs coming in and kind of like gentrifying this part of the across the lake, and this lake is like really mysterious and has all these legends about it, and it's just like there's a lot of like lore and like richness to the setting and the backstory of this place that I'm really enjoying. So yeah, I am probably not gonna read any more today. I do really want to watch like a summery horror movie. I don't think tonight's the night because we're going to a baseball game, so I don't think we'll watch anything tonight, but I might do that tomorrow, so stay tuned, because I kind of want to watch a movie I've never seen before. But I am thinking I'm gonna use this book, back to the book, I'm gonna use this book for the prompts of, what was I saying? 5 words in the title and set in summer, because it is set in the summer, because I think the first chapter is like, or maybe the second chapter is like graduation day, and then the rest is set in the summer. So completing the prompts, wouldn't you know. I'm gonna go help with dinner, and tomorrow maybe I'll read in the car. We'll see if I get seasick in the car. But we're driving home tomorrow, so no more beach vibes in this vlog, which this vlog didn't have too many beach vibes because we went to the beach in the earlier part of this week. Hello, my lovely people. It's my normal hair wash day, but I like washing my hair in the morning and taking showers in the morning, so I'm gonna do it tomorrow. So just that's why the hat. I finished a book. I'm back at my apartment now, home from vacation. I finished My Heart is a Chainsaw in the car. I listened to the audiobook, and I think I'm gonna give it 4 stars. It had me going, and I really liked how like self-aware it was of its genre. Like it was like not only like trying to be a slasher book, but just like constantly referencing other slashers, and like, and also being like, well, she's the final girl, so this is what's gonna happen. And so it was kind of just like both like fulfilling your expectations and also subverting them at the same time. And I really enjoyed that experience, and I really like the main character. And I know this is a series, so I'm very interested to see, because like, I was about to spoil it. I don't think I've ever read a like horror series, so that would be really interesting. I am tempted to just like pick up all the rest of the books in this summerween week, but I'm not going to, just for the sake of like having different things I'm reading. So I think that the next book I want to read is The Horror. First I saw Books on Lala read this, and then I saw Gabby, who is the host of this readathon, read it, and I said, well, if anyone's gonna convince me, it's gonna be those two. And Gabby also compared it to We Spread, which is my favorite horror book. So I'm really excited. It's like a short horror about a elderly woman. I don't know. It has a really creepy cover, so sorry about that. I was gonna like give a trigger warning before I said it, and then I was like, this is a horror vlog. You know what you're in for at this point. But it's a really short book, so I think I'm just gonna read a little bit of that. I do know I want to watch like a summery, summerweeny type movie tonight because, oh my god, I watched Frozen last night. That memory just came to me, and I actually forgot that happened. Frozen was on, so we watched Frozen as a family. It was really cute and fun. It was really wholesome. But I really want to watch like a spooky summery movie. What I'm thinking is I really want to watch Jaws, because I've never seen Jaws, and that seems like perfect, even though I'm not at the Cape anymore, which is where it was filmed in Martha's Vineyard. Same diff. Even though I'm not in the setting, I was just there. So I am actually really excited because I've never seen Jaws before, and it was referenced a lot in the book I just read. What's that called? My Heart is a Chainsaw. Friends, I finished my third book of the readathon. I was like, how many books have I read? I finished The Horror, and I need to look up what the horror means. A cold, wet sea fog. Okay, I thought it meant fog, but it definitely meant fog. My like brief kind of what I think this book is about is like, was not really that accurate. So let me give you like a more accurate like description of what this book is about, and then we can talk about my thoughts and feelings now that I finished it. This is a book about a older woman named Muriel Slay. I love her. She's a strong-willed lady, and there is this big like company coming in, and they want to buy all the houses and like completely just redo her entire like hometown, and she doesn't want any of that. So she's like standing firm. She's like, I don't care how much money you offer me, you're crooks and I don't like you. And she basically is like, no. And so she kind of bands together with her like fellow neighbors, and they talk about it. And all while this is happening, there is this blob of sorts that she rescues and finds on the beach, and she takes it home and she cares for it, and it becomes this kind of creature, and it is the creature that you see on the cover, and she just becomes very attached to this creature and names it and just kind of sees it as something that maybe it's not. And whether or not that's her dead husband, that's up to you. And the story kind of just goes from there. And I found it to be like, I get the We Spread similarities with the like older woman, is she going crazy, or is this just like crazy things happening, which I enjoy. So I did love like our main character. Like I found her to be very compelling. I found the monster to be super compelling. Like I was on their side the entire time. I was like, yes, like kill people, yes. But I also found it to be similar to me to Our Wives Under the Sea. Maybe because it had the kind of like seashore vibe, beachy atmosphere, water played a big role. Like I just kind of was thinking about that. And especially like the care that Muriel feels for this creature who she kind of imagines to be her husband, just very deep and very like real to her. So I gave it like 3 stars. It's more like a 3.5, I would say. I definitely, what are my ratings? Like take my ratings with a grain of salt. Like if this sounds up your alley, read it. There were just some scenes and things that I just didn't entirely vibe with. There was a lot of this like book where like people were just randomly naked and I was like, okay. As much as I like love horror books and I love elderly main characters, I don't want them to like take a beating, you know? I want them to be protected, my little babies. I was sad about that. Yeah, I liked it. But I figured out the next book that I'm gonna read, which is very exciting to me. I'm gonna read Natural Beauty because I realized I actually have the audiobook out from my library and I have 3 more days to read it. So I need to do that. So that's gonna be the next book that I start, which I'm actually pretty excited about. I don't really remember what it's about, not at all, but I know it's a literary horror, which I do really enjoy. So I'm like trying to like get a bunch of different types of horror in this video that I'm reading. Oh, my cat's right here. Hold on, you need to see the cat. But I didn't watch Jaws last night because I was a baby and I wanted to go to bed early, but I'm gonna try to watch it tonight, or like some Halloween-y movie, like even if it's like Hocus Pocus, which is like my favorite movie of all time, even if it's just like something like that, or like Halloween Town or something. I want to watch something like very fall. I'm gonna light my little fall candle right here. This is my pumpkin pecan waffles. I did just see that Bath & Body Works are getting their fall scents in, and yes, I am excited. This is not my favorite scent of theirs. It's a little sweet for me, but I don't have leaves, so we're gonna burn this. And I was listening to like a little ASMR room, a little like Halloween oldies playing in the background. That's like my favorite type of thing to listen to. I'm gonna do that and start Natural Beauty. Okay guys, so it is a little update time. I just had dinner and I have been reading Natural Beauty and I'm obsessed with this book. I am really loving this book. I don't know if it's really horror. I don't know. Like, it's not giving horror in like the scared, but it's definitely like unsettling, disturbing type of things are going on. So we are following a like prodigy pianist who is no longer playing piano, and she finds herself offered this job at essentially Goop, this wellness brand that has all these like fun like tonics and potions and such, hired as like one of the sales people. And she starts working there, and just things in her life slowly start changing because of her working there. And I really like this book. I like the vibes are so good and so accurate. I mean, the vibes aren't good, but like, you know what I mean? Like it's so nailing what it's trying to do, I think, so well. Like the way it's written and like everything is described and like the narration and everything just like piles together to make this like beautiful like, why am I gonna say it's a sandwich? Oh my god, I'm being so dumb. It's a sandwich of it's a perfect sandwich. Like it just makes sense, it just works. I'm really enjoying it, and I'm like almost 70% into it. I'm like, I've been reading it a lot. I'm kind of addicted. I'm really enjoying it, but I'm going to stop reading for the night because I want to listen to a different audiobook. It's not for Summerween, but I'm trying to kick my ass back into gear because since I have graduated, I haven't been very productive. I wasn't really trying to be, but I'm trying to move towards a more productive place in my life, even though I'm not doing anything. So that's the goal. But anyway, so I'm gonna listen to a different audiobook, pop that in, listen to that. But I am going to watch like Hocus Pocus tonight because that sounds like magnifique. Hocus Pocus is one of my favorite movies. Yes, it is my Letterboxd top 4. That's the plan for tonight. I guess we'll finish up Natural Beauty and start that tomorrow. I am planning on going to the library tomorrow because I have some books to return that I finished, and we shall see if we're do a little perusing there. I'm hoping to like just like hang out at the library for a while, which I don't always do, but I only do if I can get there early enough to get a seat. So we're gonna try to do that tomorrow as well. Hello, everyone. It is now Wednesday. It's Wednesday. I had to think about that one. It's Wednesday. I just got back from the library a little while ago. I basically went there to do a little bit of writing, return some books, get some new books. You know how it goes. But I was like pretty zoned in. I was working on my timeline for my book and it was causing me a little bit of a headache. So that's what I was doing there. But I did pick up a few books. Now they're not horror, they're not spooky, but I am writing a YA contemporary, so I read a lot of YA contemporaries to kind of get me in the zone and to inspire my writing. So I picked up 4 books and I think I dropped off 5. So I think I'm doing well. So they're all YA. So the first one is Summerbird Blue, which I have been meaning to read for a really long time. This is one of the few books that I know that has ace representation, and I know it's like a hard-hitting contemporary YA, which I haven't read. I've really been reading like a lot of like fluffier, cute romance books, but this seems like it will be a good book. I've heard really good things about it, so oh, I have read a book by this author. Wait, that didn't even occur to me. I'm really excited about reading this book. Very excited. Then I got, oh, it's covered. What is it called? No Filter and Other Lies. This I heard Kenya from Lily Reads talking about, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it's just like another YA contemporary. I'm also like interested because I remember something about like this main character being unlikable. Don't shoot me if that's wrong, but I remember them like getting into hijinks and doing kind of like some not very good things to the people around them. And my main character of my book is supposed to be kind of unlikable, so I am interested to read that because of that. And then I picked up It's Not Like It's a Secret, which you could go back on my channel. You shouldn't, but you could. You could go back on my channel to, ooh, I want to say like 4 or 5 years ago on it. I put this on a few TBRs. I've never owned it. This is just one of the first like sapphic YAs that I've seen since there's been, you know, many more published, but like this was one of the first ones from what I remember. Oh, I just saw Princeton. Princeton Dad, Princeton Uncle. Is this set in Princeton? I don't know what the plot of this book is, but I was like, it was just kind of like a throwback when I saw it in the library today. I was like, I forgot that book existed and I wanted to read it like years ago, so why don't I read it? So I'm gonna read that. Also, my book that I'm writing is sapphic, so more sapphic and spell. Then I was really excited to see this book, So Let Them Burn, at the library because I have been so excited for this book. I remember when this was like book deal was announced and I was so excited because basically the author said that she took inspiration from like Zendaya's dress at some, I forget what it was, like some like award show or something, and wrote this story about that kind of. And I know it has to do with dragons and I've heard really good things about it. So I'm really excited to read it. I haven't been reading a lot of fantasy lately, but am I anticipating a fantasy resurgence in my life? I don't see why not. I don't know. I could see it happening. But yeah, I'm really excited about this book. So yes, those are the 4 books that I got. But more importantly, I need to give you an update on my reading. So before I watched Hocus Pocus, which I didn't finish Hocus Pocus, I watched like an hour of it. I might finish it tonight. I actually finished Natural Beauty. And I know I said I wasn't gonna finish it because I was like, I'm gonna read something else. And then I finished it and then I read something else. And I loved this book. This book was a 5 out of 5 for me. Like I don't know what exactly like about it worked so well, but I think I was telling you, like, it's so disturbing and weird and it just goes off the rails. Like the more you get into it and the more like things are revealed and you find out the truth about things that are going on at this goop-like company. I forget what it's called. Oh, it's called Holistic. That's what's called. But it just so reminded me of, this is so weird, but like if you know, you know, but like if you've seen the show Dollface is like one of my favorite shows. I'm very sad it got canceled, but it's like this surreal show about like women, and there is this like goop-like company in there and it has all these surreal elements. And I felt like I was watching that show a lot of the time when I was reading this book because so much of it was like so out of, not science fiction, but so like a drug trip that didn't seem real, and it had the cult-like quality of being in this like holistic self-care company, and it just really reminded me of Dollface. I also just found it to be kind of really tender, surprisingly so. I cried while reading this book, which is so surprising for me because I never cry. I did cry reading this book because I just felt so connected to our main character, who we don't really get her name, but she's called Anna at one point in the book. And she has been this like
piano prodigy, but it's because mostly like her parents were piano teachers, and that's kind of like how they communicated, and that's like how she was raised, and she just became so good at it because of like her parents, and her parents gave everything to her, you know, being from China and coming to the United States, and they just like put their all into her. And it was just so beautiful the way she spoke about her parents and how much love there was there. And I just really was touched by it. It was so sweet and loving. And then all the fucked up things that happened to them. I just, yeah, I really loved it. And I just felt like the characterization and the characterization of all the characters and like the way that they interacted, all the dynamics were super well done. I want to say this was a debut. This was a debut. As I suspect. And that's iconic. I now have to pick what I'm gonna read for the rest of today, because that's pretty much how I'm gonna be spending the rest of my day now that I'm back home and it's soup outside, so I'm not going outside. I have a couple options that I'm thinking about that are kind of shorter titles that I could pick up. Either A House with Good Bones or House of Hallow. These were both on my TBR. And while the TBR has been flown out the window, I would like to get to like one of them. So I'm thinking, okay, I think I'm gonna start House of Hallow just to like break things up. This is a YA horror book from what I gather, and a dark and twisty modern fairy tale where three sisters discover that they're not exactly all that they seem, and evil things really do bump in the night. Yeah, I think this sounds like a good, different type of book to be reading. So I'm going to put my books away and get started on that. I just did a little cleaning of my apartment, so I'm all good to do some reading.
It's after dinner now, but on a whim I decided to make some focaccia just because I thought it would be fun. And it's now rising, so I will keep you posted on how it goes. I've made gluten-free focaccia twice in my life, and it was a big mess the last time I did it. I already know I made a mistake doing this. I put in the wrong amount of ingredients, and that's okay. But we shall see how this turns out, and I'll keep you posted on how it goes. Hello friends, it is later than I normally check in. It's like almost 4:20, which I'm on a tea break, so not exciting for me. I edited this video today because I was gonna put it up today, but then I was like, I should just finish out the readathon and put it up tomorrow. So it's gonna go up tomorrow. The day you're watching this may be Friday, I don't know. But I did just finish what will definitely, I was like, definitely be my last book for this readathon. I finished House of Hallow, and I'm giving it like 3 stars. I really liked the horror of this book. Like I really liked like the way that horror and like gruesome things were described in this book. How do I describe this? I liked that, but I didn't like the twists of this book, and I don't know how, I'm not gonna like go into it too much because I'm not gonna spoil it, but like I just found like there were answers to questions I wasn't asking, and I was like, wait, you should have had me asking those questions. Like, but I wasn't asking those questions the entire time, so now I've been given an answer and I'm like, oh, okay. So it just didn't have as much of an impact, and I just didn't like the twists and stuff. But I did like overall like think it was good. I gave it like 3 stars. But I didn't tell you what this book is about. This book is about 3 sisters who went missing for a month when they were young. I think the oldest one was like 11 or 13 or something, and they came back, same street they went missing, and they were like naked and one was holding a knife. And they had no recollection of what happened in that month, and also just like no recollection of like their life before that, and they just like lived their lives. Their father was convinced that these were not his children, so he kind of like went insane and ended up unaliving himself. Eventually the 2 eldest sisters like moved on with their lives and left the house, leaving the one sister who's our main narrator, Iris, youngest, who stayed at the family house and kind of just tries to appease everyone. And this book picks up where she is supposed to be meeting up with her 2 older sisters and one of them is missing. So dun dun dun, where did she go? Yeah, that's this book. And yeah, like I said, I thought it was fine. I gave it 3 stars. I just didn't like the ending and stuff. It was gross though, sufficiently gross, which I thought was good. Like sufficiently gross, the way it's like ew. It reminded me a little bit of Wilder Girls in the body horror way, because it was very like naturalistic. I mean, if you look at the cover, like there's like blood and like moss and flowers sprouting from this person's face, and like that is a thing that happens in the book. It's gross and it's weird, and there's a lot of vomiting in this book. If you don't like vomiting, don't read this book. They do it a lot. But anyway, I am gonna watch Jaws tonight. I know I've been teasing it all week. I finished watching Hocus Pocus. I just didn't film it because I just watched the latter half. Wait, I didn't write my Letterboxd review when I marked it as finished tonight. So I'm gonna watch Jaws, and I made the focaccia last night, which turned out great. I'm actually like so proud of myself. I ate it for breakfast this morning as well, so like pat on the back for me. I'm gonna like start making bread as a thing, because gluten-free bread is just like notoriously bad, except from Trader Joe's. They're really good from Trader Joe's, but it's expensive and it's bad. So anyway, I'm gonna just start making bread for myself now. What I was gonna say is I wanted to make like a spooky themed treat for when I watched this movie tonight, and I remembered that I had Jell-O and a brain mold that I've had for years, got at the dollar store, and I remember I made it years ago and then I just kept it, and I know I had it in my last apartment, so I went looking in my cupboards and I found the Jell-O and I started making the Jell-O. And then I couldn't find the brain mold. So I must have gotten rid of it in the move at some point or lost it. It was $1, I'm positive. So it's not like a big loss, but I wanted like a fun themed snack. Anyway, so I just ended up making Jell-O, cherry Jell-O, which is red. So it's kind of like blood, Jaws vibes. So that's my spooky themed snack for tonight. I'm gonna order dinner tonight because I usually order out on Thursdays, but I have no idea what I'm gonna eat. I've just been ravenous all week, but I actually have to keep editing this vlog so I can get it up tomorrow and catch up on everyone else's vlogs. So that's what I'm gonna be doing for the rest of, I don't know, the afternoon. I will check back in with you guys when I am watching Jaws. Alrighty guys, it is time for my final update of the vlog and wrap things up. So as you might have noticed if you were keeping an eye on the Jell-O watch, there was no Jell-O last night. It did not gelatinize, that's not a word, but that's okay. It didn't work, and I have a sneaking suspicion that it's because it was expired, so we threw it away. But I did watch Jaws and I thought it was okay. I really liked the direction of it, but I found it to just kind of boring and not very exciting. But that's my little Jaws review. Follow my Letterboxd for more movie reviews. But I read like 5 books this week, which is like the most I've read in a really long time. So I'm really proud of myself. I feel like I got out of a reading slump, even though I wasn't necessarily in a reading slump, but I read a lot and I read some spooky shit and had a good time. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all the things, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!